Your good work, and you know what I'm going to talk about, which is the solid rocket booster program. I believe that this administration has made a very serious mistake in restructuring NASA. And you say, well, why do we care in a defense hearing? It's because it has to do with the industrial base of solid rockets. And regarding the Minuteman specifically, I'd like to know if the Office of the Secretary of Defense had any conversations with NASA, the Air Force had any conversations with NASA before the President announced his intention to shut down solid rocket production.
I'm not aware that the Air Force was consulted specifically on the NASA decisions.
Well, you're very definitely affected by this, and do you have any plans to sustain the industry in order to continue to meet current deployed and future anticipated strategic space lift and tactical missile needs? Because you can't meet those needs with liquid-fueled rockets.
We do understand the challenge, and we do not have an answer at this moment as to how we intend to proceed. I've had discussions, Air Force has had discussions at a couple of levels with the National Reconnaissance Office and with NASA officials, including at the highest levels. I've talked to Administrator Bolden, I've talked to General Carlson at NRO. We have recognized this as something we need to work together going forward. But we don't have answers right now, but we have folks that are focused on this challenge.
Well, both the chairman and the vice chairman know of my strong interest in this. I'm glad to know you recognize that you have a challenge independent of what may happen with NASA. And I'm going to be working with Senator Mikulski to see what I can do to see to it that there is a delay in the decision as far as the President is concerned, because I think we have to solve the question of how does the Defense Department cover its needs in solid rockets if NASA goes ahead with what I consider to be a very ill-considered decision on the part of the President. Do you see any increased risk if the Minuteman motors, stop of production of Minuteman motors 19 years short of the planned operational status of that particular missile? In general, Minuteman has been a very reliable system for us and continues to test well. But we do know that we have challenges ahead with respect to the maintaining a warm base. And we're not satisfied with the bridging solution that we had developed here over the last couple of years, which takes us through 2011. So we need to find a way forward for FY12 and beyond on this subject. I agree with that, absolutely. And anything you can do to weigh in with the administration. You say you're talking to the administrator of NASA, and that's fine. But life being what it is, I don't think that's where the decision was made. Frankly, I won't put words into his mouth, and I won't give any suggestion of his intentions, but strictly my own opinion is that let us say a generic NASA administrator concerned primarily for the survival of his organization would not have approved this. And I think it's a decision that was made at OMB and dictated to this particular NASA administrator. So conversations with the NASA administrator may not be productive in this area. And I would urge you to have conversations with whatever elves within the administration you deal with over at OMB, because I think that's where the decision was made, or whoever the masters are, and that the NASA administrators, being a good soldier or a good airman, depending on where he went to college, carrying out orders. But this is a very serious kind of question. And I just would close, Mr. Chairman, with this observation. Do you know where the term Minuteman came from? It came from the initial rockets that were created in our days race with Sputnik and afterwards that were liquid fuel, and to get those things fired up, get them launched, took hours.
And suddenly we had a Minuteman that could be fired within minutes because it had a solid rocket motor rather than a liquid rocket motor and could go immediately. And now we're in the process of eliminating our industrial base of solid rocket motors. And you may not have any Minuteman left over if we go back, by virtue of the decision at NASA, to an industrial base that is given entirely to liquid rocket motors. I've made my speech. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you very much, Senator Bob Bennett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to hear that history about Minutemen. I didn't know that piece. I want to go back to Daymen, I guess, this
6 hours.
6-hour man. Secretary, I want to